Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. In a moment, the Kenney government's handling of the pandemic under fire. But first, seeking a fair deal for Alberta.
We believe by respectfully but assertively raising awareness across Canada about the basic facts, we can persuade a majority to support meaningful reforms.
Fairness Alberta making its case in a virtual presentation before the House of Commons Standing Committee on Finance, part of federal pre-budget consultations. And joining us now, Bill Bewick, Executive Director of Fairness Alberta. Bill, good to see you. Great to have you back on Alberta Primetime. And maybe I want to ask you first, how much of an opportunity was this to appear before the Standing Committee on Finance? Why was it important to accept the invitation?
Well, it's our whole mandate. Unlike a lot of other groups in Alberta, our mandate is to share Alberta's message about our contributions we've made and challenges and barriers to us being able to be prosperous in the future. To share that with people outside of Alberta, because like it or not, a lot of the decisions are getting made in Ontario and other places with the majority of population. Also, Bay Street's a major economic powerhouse. So it's important that people in places outside of Alberta be aware of how much Albertans contribute to Canada, how much the country's been relying on Albertans' productivity. And then from there, we can have an open mind to some of the barriers and unfairness that has been holding Alberta back.
Okay, well, as this playing out, of course, the federal fiscal update came out last week. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland raised the stabilization cap, bringing Alberta's share up to about $750 million. Why was that a disappointing response for you? Because I believe that was a message part of the message that you conveyed to the committee.
It was part of the message, yes, but back about a year ago, the Alberta government was able to get every premier to unanimously agree that changes to the Fiscal Stabilization program should be retroactive to about 2015. And that was in recognition of, A, the enormous drop in revenues Alberta faced in 2015 and 16, and then B, a kind of a way to open up the door for the federal government to give a little something back to Alberta, given all that Albertans have given to Canada. And so we were very disappointed that it was only starting this year that the changes will begin to count, and that missed out on an opportunity, to really address. Alberta's got an issue going on with a lot of people that are fed up with Canada and are looking at other options like independence. This is a way to give Federalists in Alberta a kind of a win and show that Ottawa does care. We had unanimous consent amongst all the premiers, and yet they completely skipped it and went on with a forward-looking change to the plan. Now, back in 2015, Alberta lost $8 billion in revenue. This stabilization program is to enable provinces to continue funding core services when they have a sudden drop in revenue. We got $250 million. That represented 3% of the revenue loss that year. The new changes in the program would still only have given us 9% of the revenues we lost that year. And of course, we didn't get that at all because they didn't make it retroactive. So I think it was a really missed opportunity and showed a bit of a tone-deaf approach by the government.
Well, how much does the pandemic skew this whole conversation, this whole scenario over fair fiscal stabilization?
In a way, of course, 2020 is a unique year, and you can't really put a lot of stock into any of the numbers that come out of this year. But presumably in the next year or two, things will get back to the new normal. And I'm certainly hopeful that Alberta will continue to be a leader in prosperity in Canada. And so this seems like a good chance to actually make some of these changes that can bring more fairness to a province like Alberta and also provinces like Ontario and BC, so that we sort of rejigging the federation a bit so that provinces can be a little more self-reliant and take care of their own needs and not have so much money going up to Ottawa only to get redistributed however Ottawa sees fit to the rest of the country.
The Prime Minister is to meet with the premiers this week. The premiers have been demanding another meeting with the Prime Minister. What do you expect their message should be or will be?
Well, I mean, obviously, every province is feeling completely overburdened by the impacts to the healthcare system, and it's not so much that the overall healthcare system is overwhelmed because so many things have been postponed and delayed. But there's still, new needs arising all the time, and now there's going to be the vaccine rollout, presumably. So there's a real imbalance between, and it's kind of laid bare that the federal government collects so much more money from people in taxes than the provinces do, and yet what is our sort of number one expense in the country right now? It's healthcare, and it has been for a long time. So I understand why the premiers would want there to be a little more certainty and a little more of that money that goes to Ottawa to be coming back to the provinces to help with this massive cost of healthcare. Unfortunately, though, they seem to be asking for a Canada Health transfer increase. And on the Canada Health transfer has not really been a fair program for Albertans because we have paid so much more into the Canada Health transfer than we get back on a per capita basis. And so we have proposed as part of our reforms to the sort of general equalization program that they would do a tax point transfer and let the provinces just take about 5 or 6 or 7 of the federal tax points, have them stay in Alberta so that Albertans could keep the money that they spend towards taxes that go to healthcare, have it back in the province where they need it.
All right. We'll have to leave it there. Bill Bewick, always good to get your perspective, sir. Thank you kindly for your time this evening.
Happy to be here. Thanks.